So I didn't get much done yesterday, and today is the 1st of October, so got to get some priorities done by getting some antifreeze in the other Land Rover with the Isuzu in it. So the radiator is going to fit like a glove. It's actually sitting lower than the original Land Rover radiator. Like I say, a little bit tight, but it's not hitting anything. The other thing I did the other day, we got the gas tank in, or the fuel tank, and this is the one out of the original Disco. I have to use this one because it's got all the fancy sender in, and also it's a pressurized system, so I can recycle all the bits and pieces. The only thing I'm going to have some fun with is the filler neck. I haven't quite worked out how I'm going to do that yet. Looks like a bit of TIG welding. I cut this piece off the back, which is the normal tank support. This here is just a piece of metal just for messing about with. But just like I say, I always tack things in. So we took that back cross member out, tacked in that piece. We're using the original cradle. I really would have liked to have bought another one. There's bags of space between here and the diff. I drilled out this piece of metal here and put some captive nuts in, and the same at the back. Put some captive nuts in the back. I don't know if you can see underneath. So that's where that is. That's going to looks really nice. And another outstanding feature is that on this side especially, I can get to the nuts for the bar. I think I can still get, yeah, I can get into there. That's all right. That's cool. You know, for the tow bar. So that's good. That's worked out nice. So today I need to make a strap that goes across the top, and the reason for that is it needs to be pulled down tight, because if you're just relying on the tank on its own, it'll bounce up and down and it'll wear out. So it needs to be sort of clinched in, but it fits quite nice. There is a bit of a gap underneath, but that's not too bad. It is higher, but again, this is why I put this piece of metal on here, because this is going to be my datum to put the flat deck on. So that's going to be good. So today I think what I might do is start to do the front hubs, because if you can remember, I didn't put them together properly, and I'll also put the brakes on. So that's going to be a little job for today, and then we can work on the rest. So I'd like to get that done before it gets too cold, because it's getting a little bit cold in the morning now, so we'll take it from there. One of the first jobs we're going to do this morning is just apply a little bit of paint stripper, you can see there, to the swivel balls. And the reason for that is that this is quite hard paint, and this frame hasn't actually moved all that much, so you can see the paint's coming off. You see, when they put the paint and primer on, the last thing you want to do when it's hard is to rip the seal. So what we do is just put a little bit of paint stripper on there. Look, it's very difficult to film, but put a paint stripper on and you can see it's all coming off. Look, so we'll do that and we'll let it soak in, and that will protect the swivel seals, because they are quite good. I don't know if I can see anywhere on there, but there was on this side in particular, there was a big ridge of paint here, and I don't know if you can see. Look at the paint and primer. See, so it is loosening off, but your swivel seal wouldn't last 5 minutes with that. So we're going to leave that to soak while we get on with our other jobs. So this is the first time I put a camera on my head. It might be the last time. If you remember, we stripped this hub down and we cleaned it all out. We've already greased it inside, but this part was missing. It was missing from both sides, so we're going to put both in. It's a steel tab washer, and this is the first bit that goes in. So it goes in just there. Then take your nut. Just make sure it's got no burrs, because a lot of people take these off with chisels, which is really sort of primitive, but it does the job. So we screw that one on, and then you'll see how I set up the preload, and it's a technique I've been using for 30 years. I get at the socket, put a little bit of grease around the socket like this, see, and then I just tighten it up till my hands slip, and that's enough. That really is enough. You don't need much more. A lot of people say, oh, you've got to get it tight and this, that and the other. In Quebec they will require these hubs to be tight, but in the book it says to be a little bit loose. By doing it this method, it seems to work out just right. So then we put the tab washer on, and then we put the hub locker, the locking nut, which is the same size. Alright, so there we go, we're tightening that down. We take our torque wrench, and it goes in this Brit part. This is a good socket from Brit part. If you're ever doing lots of work on Land Rovers, these are the best thing. I used to have a tin one before, a pressed steel, and it was sort of stretchy. So what we do is we tighten this down to 48 pounds, and there we go, that's clicked, and that's no more. Now I forgot my chisel, so I'm just going to go back and get it, and a pair of pliers, and I'll show you how we put over the lock washers. So here we are back again with the tools that we require. I'm not sure if this will reach. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. No, it won't. See, obviously I haven't done this for a long time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bend over these tab washers here, and we're going to bend one to go onto the rear flat, and just using a chisel we're going to evenly tap this down. Now, there. Just ever progressively. There we go. All the way. So that is locked onto there. And the next bit that everybody seems to forget is to stalk this piece over. So we're going to pull this across. This one is a bit tricky because you can't quite get into it. But hopefully, I was just wondering if I could get in with a pair of pliers just to finish that off. I might be able to. There we go. Oh, well held up, man. So just to get that little bend, you really should use a flatter punch, but a chisel's good. We'll just make sure that's nice and locked over, and you probably can see there that's nice and locked in, so that's not going to come off ever. The next thing, if you notice, the shaft went in, so we pull the shaft out and then we fit the hub with the new gasket. Well, there was a new gasket on it anyway, and then we put that to bed like that. We grab the bolts and we just turn the hub ever so slightly till the bolts engage, and then we fasten that down. Now I just usually zip them down with a air gun because these have already got lock washers on, so there's no real need to put Loctite on. You can if you want, it's not really necessary. So we're just going to pull that down so that the flange is there. Now a little technique, this isn't the same thread inside here, but there is a thread inside there, and if you pull, like if you push like that, if you pull, you can pull it back out. A lot of people make that mistake, and then the swivel won't turn. So then we grab our shim off our selection here, put the shim on. That's a little bit small shim. I'm going to get some later. I haven't got any. And then I'm looking around for my circlip pliers, which are here. And I'm going to put this circlip back on. So I'm going to use the old circlip for now because, like I say, the shimming isn't quite tight. Look, there's a little gap there. You know, it'll allow it to move a bit. And then, is that on? Cap on, tighten up the bolts, and that's it. That's all you have to do. There's nothing rocket science, there's no fancy tools, but the Brit part socket is a great idea, because the one we had before was like a pressed steel, like a tube spanner, with the bar that went through the middle of it, and it was very, very difficult to get the torque right. With this, you can do anything, and especially on the TD5 when you have to torque the nuts down, because they haven't got the double nut, it's slightly different. Alright, so that's how to do the hub.